Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into today's video. So, guys, in today's video, I'm going to be going over teams' college football playoff chances. There's only 1 week left of the college football regular season, which is this upcoming week and rivalry week, week 14. My predictions come out Wednesday, so go check that video out when it comes out. Wednesday will be a prediction video. And, guys, these percentages, by the way, are all according to ESPN. And in today's video, I'm just going to go over the remaining schedule. There's only 1 week left and go over how can they make the conference championship and hopefully make the playoffs. So let's get into it. So, guys, the first team I do want to talk about is Navy. And Navy, they have 2 games left. They play at Memphis on Thanksgiving night, and then they have the Navy-Army game, which the funny thing about that game is literally after the committee puts the final rankings out, which will finally figure out the 12-team playoff. So Navy, if they beat Memphis is kind of falling off. They're only like a 2-game losing streak. Memphis is they've fallen off a lot, which is not good for Memphis. I think Navy possibly could win that game. The problem is, they probably need like Tulane or North Texas to lose. Because if either team loses, it's probably gonna be Navy needs to beat Memphis, and then they probably either need North Texas or Tulane to lose. That's just my opinion. They probably need that to happen. Currently, the ESPN says they have a 1% chance to make it. I think that's kind of accurate. I think it's honestly, guys, if you want my opinion, I think the group of 5 teams is going to be Tulane. That's just my opinion. But chaos could still happen. Rivalry week, I think, will be a chaos week. It's looking like it will be. A lot of teams are going on the road this week. A lot of top 5 teams are going on the road this week. Anyway, moving on to our next team will be Arizona State out of the Big 12. ESPN says they have a 1% chance to make the playoffs. Their remaining game is on Black Friday. They'll have a home game against Arizona. I will give my prediction. That's going to be a very good game, guys. Arizona is a very good team. Arizona, they are very quiet, but they have just been destroying teams. They beat Cincinnati on the road. They just destroyed Baylor. Arizona's a solid team. Even when Arizona State playing at home, don't be surprised they lose to Arizona. But anyway, I just don't see Arizona State making it. They need like pretty much everyone ahead of them in the Big 12 to lose. They need Utah to lose. They need Texas Tech to lose. They need BYU to lose. It's just too much chaos. I just don't see Arizona State making the playoffs. And they probably have to make their conference championship, which is just not going to happen. I'm sorry, Arizona State. I just don't see it for you. But Arizona State's a good team. And they could probably lose to Arizona. Arizona's a very good team. Even them playing at home, I think Arizona's a solid team. Anyway, guys, let's move on to our next game. It'll be Pitt. They're sitting at a 3% chance. They have a home game. Pitt is coming out that big upset win on the road at Georgia Tech, which is very interesting. They have a huge game this weekend, though, against Miami. If they win this game, I don't know if they'll make the ACC championship game or not. They'll definitely spoil Miami season. Miami will miss the ACC title game if they lose this game. But Pitt sitting currently at a 3% chance, maybe a little higher, not going to lie. Pitt, they have to beat Miami. The Miami game is a must-win game for them if they want to make the ACC championship game. I believe they need some teams in front of them to lose. They need Virginia probably to lose to Virginia Tech. They need, what else? They probably need SMU to lose. They need a lot of teams in front of them to lose too. But Pitt, their first step is to beat Miami. A must-win game this weekend against Miami. That Miami-Pitt game is very big. My prediction of that game will come out Wednesday. So go check that video when it comes out. Anyway, moving on to our next team at 4%, we got Texas. They have the Lone Star big rivalry game on Black Friday night. They'll have a home game against Texas A&M. Texas, not going to happen. I'm sorry. I just don't see Texas. I know Arch Manning played very well against Arkansas last week, but I just don't see it. I really don't. Honestly, I think Texas A&M is probably going to beat Texas. I know it just spoiled my prediction there, but I just think A&M is a better team. Texas does get that game at home at 9, and it is a rivalry game. So Texas, they could win that game. But even if they beat Texas A&M, the committee's not going to let a 9-3 team in. And the SEC is too good. So Texas pretty much has no shot. Even if they do beat Texas A&M, I just don't see it. Michigan sitting at a 7% chance to make the playoffs. Their last game, they've owned Ohio State. They beat Ohio State. Michigan, if you're Michigan, they could possibly get as a large team. If they beat Ohio State and a couple of teams in front of them lose, they could probably get maybe that 11th seed, honestly. So Michigan definitely can make the playoffs. They're currently sitting at a 7% chance to make it, according to ESPN, a 7% chance. The remaining game is the big game against Ohio State, the big rival game. Michigan's beaten Ohio State the last couple of years. Last year's game was especially crazy. Michigan at 6-5 went on the road into Columbus and won 13-10 at Ohio State. That's a very huge game, not gonna lie. Ohio State going on the road. I think it's like the weather's like 30 degrees there. Ohio State really should win that game against Michigan, but you never know. Michigan has just dominated Ohio State the last couple of years. you never know, man. Michigan definitely could win that game. Even if Michigan beats Ohio State, and if Oregon loses to Washington, Michigan then will make the Big Ten championship game, and they'll probably play. They'll play Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. So, Michigan, Indiana. If Michigan beats Ohio State and Oregon loses to Washington, it will be a Michigan-Indiana Big Ten championship game, which will be very interesting. Anyway, next team we'll talk about is Utah at a 17% chance. Utah, they have a Black Friday game on the road against Kansas, and they'll beat Kansas. Let's be honest, Kansas is iffy. They're kind of iffy. Kansas is not awful, but they're iffy. They have it on the road. It's a noon game on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So, but Utah guys, really, they need to beat Kansas. They lose to Kansas or done. They need to beat Kansas, and they need BYU. They really need either BYU or Texas Tech to lose. If you're Utah, you need that to happen. You really do. You need to beat Kansas, and you need BYU or Texas Tech to lose. Which Texas Tech plays at West Virginia, and then BYU has a home game against UCF. Which BYU, I think it's definitely going to be UCF. UCF's not that good. But Texas Tech going on the road against West Virginia, that could be a trap game, guys. So Utah, you're praying for Texas Tech or BYU to lose this upcoming weekend. You do need to beat Kansas, though. First step is beating Kansas on the road. You need to take care of business there, and then you need BYU, Texas Tech to lose. That's the only, I mean, Utah, it's unlikely, though, honestly. I mean, Texas Tech is a very good team, and BYU is, I think, also a very good team. So Utah, I think that's, according to ESPN, they had a 17% chance. I think that's about right. Actually, the Michigan one, I think, should be a little higher, not going to lie. But Utah currently had a 17% chance. I think they need to be a little high. I think that's about right, actually. Next team, we'll talk about SMU at an 18% chance. The remaining game they'll play on the road against California. California, I thought they were a decent team, and then they just lost on the road to a bad Stanford team. That's not good for California. There's actually been some reports going on of California might fire their head coach, which is very interesting. But, guys, California has this home game against SMU. SMU, guys, I don't know if I really see them. I think SMU's a solid team. I believe they have like 3 losses, though, which is not good. I think they actually have 2 conference losses, which is interesting because they had that non-conference loss at home against Baylor in overtime back in week 2. But SMU, I don't know. They need some stuff to go their way. Georgia Tech losing is probably best for them. Miami Pitt, I don't know SMU. Actually, I don't know really about SMU's path. I think they're not getting as in a large. They need to get an ACC championship game. They probably need Miami to lose to Pitt, honestly. Maybe an SMU Pitt ACC championship game. Georgia Tech, I think, is done from the ACC championship. I guess they technically could still make it. But honestly, guys, I don't see Georgia Tech, honestly. But SMU, according to ESPN, they're an 18% chance. I don't know about SMU, honestly. I think that's about right. They need some stuff to go their way. They of course, need to beat California. They need to do their part. And they probably need Miami to lose to Pitt. I think, yeah. They probably need Miami to lose to Pitt. Next team we'll talk about at 21% chance, we got Vanderbilt. They need to beat Tennessee. Vanderbilt, all they really need to do, honestly, they don't need to do anything else. They need to go on the road and beat Tennessee. Tennessee, they're done for the playoffs. I don't see Tennessee making it. So for Vanderbilt, this is pretty much a play-in game. I think Vandy gets into the playoffs. I think most everyone will be rooting for Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt in the playoffs would be crazy if you ask me. They go on the road this weekend at Tennessee in a rivalry game. This game's at 3:30 on Saturday on ESPN. I mean, yeah, it's on ESPN, right? Yeah. But Vanderbilt, they need to go on here. They need to get into Nashville. They need to go into Knoxville and beat Tennessee. This is a must-win game for Vanderbilt. They need to win this game. They really do. If they win that game, I think they'll be sitting at like the 9 or 10 seed. So they'll be going on the road in the first round most likely. But Vanderbilt wins, I think they're definitely in the playoffs. But currently they're at a 21% chance. I think this should be definitely higher. Vanderbilt could probably beat Tennessee. I know some people are picking Tennessee in that game, but we kind of want Vanderbilt to win this game, to be honest with you guys. Anyway, moving on to our next team, Tulane sitting at a 28% chance. The group of 5 favorite, ask me. They have one easy game. They're going to destroy Charlotte. Charlotte's terrible. Charlotte's like 1-10 now. They're going to destroy Charlotte at home. And then assuming they'll win against a terrible Charlotte team, they'll likely make the American Championship game. They're probably most likely going to either play Navy or North Texas. That's just my opinion. They're either going to play Navy or North Texas in the American Championship game. In Tulane, they win the American Championship game. They're in the playoffs. So they win likely, guys. Sorry for James Madison, but I think the winner of the American is likely going to be in the playoffs. Even though there's been some rumors. What if JMU wins the Sun Belt, but they're higher ranked than the ACC champion? Because, guys, if you think about it, it's the 5 highest ranked conference champions. If JMU is a Sun Belt champion and higher ranked than the ACC champ, which is either Pitt or SMU or Miami, or maybe Georgia Tech still, what happens if JMU's higher ranked? JMU gets in the playoffs, so technically could get 2 group of 5 teams in the playoffs. It's definitely possible. But Tulane currently sitting at a 28% chance. I think they need to be a little higher. Tulane, they need to win out. That's pretty simple. They need to win the American Championship game, and they need to beat Charlotte. Anyway, moving on to our next team. At a 29% chance, I forgot this team, Virginia. Virginia, all they need to do, they need to beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's terrible. I know they got James Franklin, though, but that's next year, guys. Virginia should destroy Virginia Tech at home. They should win that game. And the next thing they need, Virginia, I mean, they could make it. They probably need, like, SMU or Pitt to lose. Honestly, that's just my opinion. That's what Virginia really needs, to be honest with you guys. That's my opinion. I think that 29% chance is around right. They need Pitt to lose to Miami, which actually, that's definitely possible. So Virginia, maybe a little higher, but currently according to ESPN, they're at a 29% chance. At a 31% chance, we got Miami. Miami, they have that big road game against Pitt. We've already talked about this game a lot. My prediction will come out on Wednesday about it. I don't know about this game, guys. This game could go either way. Miami's going on the road against a Pitt team. It's going to be an interesting game if you ask me. This game's at noon Eastern on ABC on Saturday. It should be a good game, not going to lie. Miami currently at a 31% chance, guys. Miami does need to win out. If Miami wins, they probably will make the ACC Championship game, guys. But SMU probably needs to lose, but I believe Miami will make it. I believe they'll make the ACC Championship game, and then they win. They're higher ranked than JMU. They should make the playoffs, but you never know. JMU might be higher ranked. So if you're JMU, actually, we'll talk about JMU later. Let's get to the next team we're talking about at a 49% chance is BYU. BYU sitting at a 49% chance. They play UCF this upcoming weekend. That game's actually at 1 o'clock on ESPN too. That makes no sense. But they play UCF this upcoming weekend. Guys, I expect BYU to roll in this game. UCF's not a very good team. They should destroy UCF. And then they should make the Big 12 championship game. I think they're likely going to be having a rematch with Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. So I think BYU, they probably crush UCF. So BYU, I think this should definitely be like around 100. I mean, not actually, shouldn't be 100. It's around a 50-50 because BYU, if they beat UCF and then lose in the Big 12 championship game, they're done for the playoffs. They're not making it. But if they beat Texas Tech again, which I think they're likely going to be playing Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game, and they beat Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game, they're in the playoffs, actually automatically. But if they lose, they're not. So I say 49% chance of I'm right. I say 50-50 for BYU. And the next team we're talking about, a 54% chance, it's North Texas. North Texas, they've had a great year. They end the season at home against, I think a decent Temple team. And if they win this game, they will likely make the American Championship game and likely play Tulane in the American Championship game. North Texas, I think they're probably going to win. They have it at home against, I think Temple's actually not terrible this year. They're usually terrible. They're not terrible this year. So maybe it could be a little trap game. But I think North Texas should control that game and win. So I honestly expect a North Texas Tulane American Championship game, most likely. And the winner of that game will get the group of 5 into the playoffs. At a 57% chance, we got JMU. JMU, they end the season on the road against Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina's not a bad team. They play on the road against, they could trip on that game. JMU just survived against Washington State at home. I expect JMU should win this game. And they need the Americans to have a complete collapse. They need Tulane. They need a lot of chaos in the American Conference for them to get in, or they need the ACC to fall apart. Because guys, if JMU gets ranked, they're actually not ranked currently in the college football playoff ranking. I expect them to be ranked. If they are ranked ahead of the ACC champion, they will get into the playoffs, guys. We'll have the American champion, the Sun Belt champion, not the ACC champ. That's crazy if you ask me. So JMU, they need to beat Coastal Carolina. Obviously, they need to win the Sun Belt championship game. They'll probably play like Southern Miss. If they win that, they need the Americans to have a collapse or the ACC to have a collapse for them to get in. That's my opinion on North Texas. At a 61% chance, we'll have Alabama. At a 61% chance, this is a must-win game, guys. Alabama, they're coming off that blowout win against Eastern Illinois. No surprisers there. They play at Auburn. If Alabama loses this game, they're possibly going to miss the playoffs for a second straight year. They need to beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. It's on the road. It's at night at Jordan-Hare Stadium. A lot of stuff happens in Jordan-Hare Stadium at night. Alabama needs to go in here and get the win at Auburn, which I know Auburn's not that great, but guys, Auburn's a tough place to play, especially at night. That's not going to be an easy game for Alabama. Not at all. They need to beat Auburn. That's a must-win game. If they beat Auburn, actually, I heard they lose to Auburn. They actually don't make the SEC championship game. It's likely going to be Georgia A&M instead. So that case. So Alabama does need to beat Auburn. Alabama, I think, would definitely have been a lock till they beat Oklahoma. Even if they lost to Auburn, they beat Oklahoma, they lost to Auburn. I believe they'll still be in the playoffs, but them losing to Oklahoma at home kind of killed their chances. But Alabama, they need to beat Auburn this weekend. They really do for them to get into the playoffs. Anyway, moving on to our next team. According to ESPN, they're at a 61% chance. Moving on to our next team, 73% chance Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think, personally is a lock to me. I mean, Notre Dame, they end the season at Stanford at 10:30 on ESPN. on Saturday. They're going to destroy Stanford. Stanford's terrible. They should win that game on the road pretty easily. Notre Dame literally just scored 70 points on a Power 4 team. That is very, very impressive. I know Syracuse is not that good, but guys, that is so impressive to do that. Notre Dame is a very legit team. I think Notre Dame is going to, they're possibly, in my opinion, a national championship contender. After seeing what they did to Syracuse, they won 7. That game was pretty much 70-0. Syracuse got a late touchdown late in that game. But Notre Dame currently has a 73% chance to make the playoffs. I say they go on the road and crush Stanford. Not going to lie. They go on the road, crush Stanford. Oklahoma has a 78% chance to make the playoffs. Oklahoma, I think, is pretty much a lock. They end the season against LSU. LSU literally they only won by 3 points against Western Kentucky. That's super embarrassing. Oklahoma, they're probably going to beat LSU. And I expect them to probably get a home game, actually. Oklahoma, I expect them to make the playoffs against LSU. I expect them to make the playoffs. They're currently at a 78% chance. Oklahoma, I was down in Oklahoma. I thought Oklahoma was out of it after they lost to Tennessee. And then after they lost to Ole Miss, and then they beat Tennessee. Maybe they can make it, and then they beat Alabama, and then, Oklahoma's definitely making the playoffs. And Oklahoma, they'll beat LSU. LSU's not a very good team. They should beat LSU pretty easily. So Oklahoma, I expect them to make the playoffs at a 78% chance. That's according to ESPN. And an 82% chance, guys, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin might be leaving. He might take the LSU job. Ole Miss will end the season on Black Friday in Starkville on the road against Mississippi State at noon Eastern. Ole Miss, they should win that game, even though it is a rivalry game on the road. You never know. Ole Miss even if Ole Miss loses, they'll probably still make the playoffs. Not gonna lie, they'll probably still make it. And they're currently an 82% chance. I expect Ole Miss to make it. At a 90% chance, we got Texas Tech. Texas Tech ends the season on the road against West Virginia. If they win, they'll likely be playing BYU in the Big 12 championship game. Even if they lose to BYU, Texas Tech honestly might still make the playoffs, guys. They still might make it. So don't sleep on Texas Tech. They'll probably beat West Virginia, even though it is on the road. West Virginia's been playing a little better. I still expect Texas Tech to win that game easily. And currently, according to ESPN, they're at a 90% chance. Next team, Oregon, at a 97% chance. They end the season on the road against Washington. Oregon, they definitely could trip up in that game. That's not a guaranteed win. Oregon got that big win against USC last week. I completely expect Oregon to win this game on the road at Washington. I like the Ducks in that game. I expect Oregon. They beat Washington. They're in the playoffs. Definitely. If they want to make the Big Ten championship game, guys, Oregon, they pretty much need Ohio State to lose to Michigan. That's what Oregon really needs to make the Big Ten championship. But even if that doesn't happen, as long as you beat Washington, Oregon should still make it. Anyway, moving on to our next team, Georgia had a 99% chance to make it. They play Georgia Tech this weekend. Georgia Tech's very fraudulent. I expect Georgia to blow out Georgia Tech. I know it's an early prediction. This game's on Black Friday at 3:30 on a neutral site. Why is that game at a neutral site? It makes no sense to me. But this game is at 3:30 on Black Friday. I expect Georgia to destroy Georgia Tech. If Georgia loses this game, it doesn't matter. They should still make the playoffs. Georgia wins. They'll finish 11-1. I believe they're going to be in the SEC championship game, playing maybe either Ole Miss actually they'll probably play Texas A&M. So if Georgia wins, they'll probably be playing Texas A&M in the SEC championship game, or maybe they miss out. If Alabama beats Auburn, I don't know, but they're still going to make the playoffs. Even if they don't make the SEC championship game, they'll still be in the playoffs, even with a win against Georgia Tech. Texas A&M at a 99% chance. They play at Texas this weekend. Even if A&M does lose to Texas, which honestly I don't think that's going to happen. Let's say they lose to Texas, A&M will still be in the playoffs. They probably won't have a bye. I don't know if they'll make the SEC championship game or not, but I think A&M, even if they lose to Texas, they'll be in the playoffs. So they're currently at a 99% chance, according to ESPN. At a 99% chance, also Indiana, they're pretty much at 100. They play at Purdue. They're going to destroy Purdue. Purdue's terrible. Even though they've been more competitive, they're going to destroy Purdue pretty easily. I expect Indiana to win that game by like 40 points. They'll beat Purdue on Black Friday night at 7:30 on NBC. They'll beat Purdue, and then undefeated, they'll make the Big Ten championship game. Even if they lose the Big Ten championship game, either against like Ohio State, Michigan, or Oregon, I still expect them to make the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Indiana's making the playoffs, and Ohio State also at a 99% chance, currently number 1 team in the country. This game at Michigan's big. Even if they do lose to Michigan and they miss out in the Big Ten championship game, they'll still make the playoffs. They'll still make it. Let's be honest. They'll still make it. So I'm not really too worried about Ohio State. They do need to beat Michigan again. This is a big rivalry game. They need to win this game big time. Anyway, guys, that's going to do today's video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Have a great day. Peace out. Have a good Monday. Bye-bye. These are my college football playoff chances. My predictions come out Wednesday. Bye-bye.